announced he supports efforts to remove President Trump from office, including impeachment or invoking the 25th Amendment. Obviously, time is of the essence here. There's only 13 days left in this administration. There's also the question of pardons. We had been talking about this story before all of this violence broke out. There had been talk about the president wanting to pardon himself, members of his family. Is that playing into any of the considerations in moving quickly on this?
Katie, I think there are two reasons. First is national security. I mean, the fact that the court suggests the vice president and the person who had to call in the National Guard is appalling. I mean, I was in my office wondering when you were going to have the National Guard, and now we find out that Trump wasn't willing to do that. So that's one reason that we need Vice President Pence in charge. And the second is that I do think for the first time in my 4 years in Congress, Republicans are breaking with Trump. I don't think they want to see mass pardons, and I think Vice President Pence will be far more responsible for that power than President Trump.
Congressman, you've made some real efforts to reach across the aisle, not just with to sort of get to know members on the other side, go to their districts. I think you'd gone through a lot of some rural districts that were different from. You're the Silicon Valley congressman, and so to go around in different. So you've outreach to other members, and I'm now thinking 60% of the Republican conference voted essentially to overturn the democracy. Some would say that's a harsh way of saying it, but that's what it looked like to a lot of us. How do you reach across the aisle?
Well, Chuck, when I was sheltered in place yesterday, I had this thought. The president's own Supreme Court justices refused to aid him. The Republican legislature, where the Republicans were in charge, certified this election. Republican secretaries of state, like the Republican Secretary of State in Georgia, stood up for this president, stood up to him on a phone call. We had the Republican Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, who I've never said a kind thing about except yesterday, stand up for our democracy, and Vice President Pence stand up for our democracy. So we can focus on the fringe rioters, we can focus on the 100 Republicans who voted to overturn, or we can focus on the resilience of American democracy, the institutions that actually did work.
Congressman, at the same time, though, don't we have to take stock of the horrific assault on American democracy on a day when the electoral votes were being counted, the president staging a counter rally by inviting people, then showing up and egging them on and urging them to march on the Capitol, and no preparations? You could say it was for lack of intelligence, but all the signs were there.
You're absolutely right, Andrea. And one question is, why was there no more action taken on social media? I mean, there was talk on Parler of people having guns, bringing them to the Capitol and attacking it. This is going on social media. There has to be far more accountability. This cannot be going on, incitement to violence. That's not protected by the First Amendment. And secondly, we need a better plan with Capitol Police. It's really a tragedy because you would never have this happen in the Pentagon. You never have this happen at the White House. The reason at the Capitol is we're not supposed to be a fortress. It's supposed to be the idea that a constituent of mine comes in, they can come to my office and meet with me. And now we're going to have to rethink that. We had to rethink that after 9/11. And I think the real loss to American democracy from yesterday is there's probably going to be far more security, and it's going to increase the distance between the elected bodies and representatives. And that's a real shame.
So true. Congressman, I always thought that was the coolest thing that, I was a teenager. I could walk into any office. But, of course, when I first came to Washington, you could drive on Pennsylvania Avenue at basically park next to the White House. You can't do that either anymore. Anyway, Congressman Khanna, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to get your perspective.